to Talking Junk. Talking Junk. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every week with great guests, great insight for the mind, even funnier and more illuminating stories than you ever thought possible. Tonight is no different. We got two great guests for you again tonight. So up first, she is the Freedom Illuminator Embodiment Queen, here to tell us how transforming emotional scars helped her survive. Miss Hao Motsemme. How you doing tonight, Hao?
I'm great, and I also love that you pronounce my name really well. So I want to start by also greetings, and I do that in my native language. So dumelang lokai, and the direct translation of dumelang is agree. And I just want to start by asking people, what are you agreeing to when you are coming here to Talking Junk? What is your intention? And where are you are you here with us, or part of you is still holding into, at times, even that junk that you don't want? So maybe this is the right place to bring it so that we can transmute it. So thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. And I'm honored that you're even on, because it is so late over there where you're at. Where are you coming from?
I'm actually in Germany. It's before 2 a.m. right now.
Wow. That is dedication to your craft, and I have the utmost respect for it. So thank you very much for being on.
It's my pleasure. And actually, I was just thinking about this because this is live and I have so much passion, and being here with you means a lot to me. And one of the things that I thought of as I was just preparing to come here was, people often want to change things, and at times they're focusing on money. Oh, if I had money and all that. But what they don't realize is the highest investment that we make is time. And any transformation is going to cost us time. And
Right.
if you are more committed to you are willing to spend that time on you, because some people are so broke that they don't even have time for themselves. Let's just start with that.
Yeah. And that makes the quote that even more ironic, that time is money. Because if you have no time and you have no money, what are you even living for?
Even if you have money and you don't have time, you are still broke.
Right. Now, you're here today is From Wounds to Wisdom, Transforming Emotional Scars into Sovereign Freedom. Is that a book?
No, it's just my life.
Just your mantra.
Yes, but that would be a great book. So I love that.
It would be a great book. It would probably be an even better documentary.
Absolutely. So I love the idea that are just coming through. So I embrace it. Yeah.
Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey? What took you from wounds to wisdom?
Wounds is something that we are afraid of. We're afraid of our shadows. We don't want to hear anything about it. It scares the shit out of us. But at the same time, this is where true wisdom is. So for me, I'll say my journey started just as a little girl who, as I say, I'm the queen. I am the queen, and I was born with that flipping knowing. It's kind of like I was born in my family, and I just knew who I was. But the first thing
let me just say, I'm sorry to cut you off. You can be who you are here, so you don't have to censor that F-bomb that you was about to throw. You can be yourself. You can let it fly.
I wanted to just say that I was born knowing who the fuck I was, So I was just like, okay, let me just hold it back a little bit.
You don't have to hold anything back here.
Thanks. Let's do it. So I just showed up the way I showed up, and then because I was born in a very traditional family, you know. So being who I was, there was some culture, tradition, how a girl has to be and all that. And one thing
Right.
that I also say a lot is that patriarchal wound made us, both men and women, weak by shutting off the man's heart and the woman's womb. And when I look at the wound that we often suffer from, even the mother wound is as a result of patriarchal wound. This is how you get to be. So I was told of who I get to be, how I have to dress up and all that. But being a child, I was rebelling against that. But it's one of the dance that I had with my mom back and forth, and I
And
was
that's
always,
normal too. Everybody rebels at a certain point. They
yeah,
they see how the family tradition was or how the cultural tradition was, and they tend to try to break those rules and bend them to their will.
absolutely. So I was one of those people, and my mom kept on saying, "You are not like my other children," and yeah. And one thing that I said, even at an earlier age, before I even knew why I say that, I remember I said, "Yeah, that's why my name is even different," And she just laughed, but it was that laughter of, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this child, you know. So I grew up with that. I was thinking that when it comes to speaking my truth, my opinion, and all that, I don't have a problem with that. But then life showed me that I was living a wound. When I realized, even when it comes to following my dreams or even wanting something, I always wanted something, and I just knew that I could get it. I had that confidence from since I was a child. But here's the thing: every time when I got something, whether it was a position that I wanted, the first thing that comes is self-doubt. I get it, and then I kind of like freeze into, am I really going to be able to deliver? And I realized that when it comes to the relationships around me, there was a wound that was playing, and I would say this mother wound was also playing even at work, where my boss was, people were just wondering, why does this woman hate you so much? At times people will be like, but how do you really pray? It's kind of like something is not right here, but we don't know what that something is. So that was like the wound that was playing. I found myself in toxic relationships, but it's normal, right? Yeah, oh, this person did this. Oh, yeah, it's normal. That's just how it is. We've seen it happening. There's nothing wrong with that. So for me, I went through that until life happened. I lost my job, which was my identity. By the way, I didn't like it, but I loved how it was perceived in the society. I'm an accountant, and the money that came with that. And this is why we started talking about being broke, because I was working, coming home at 2 a.m. in the morning. Found
And
my
what were you
child.
doing at that time? Because it's funny. It's funny how that kind of happens with everybody, right? You're stereotyped on your profession, when in reality you're probably much more than that.
Yeah. I was an accountant, so when it comes month end and all that, you don't even have a say. I still remember I was breastfeeding, and on one of the days I got into the elevator and I switched off my phone because at that moment I knew that we had to work overtime, and I was working overtime for many weeks or months, and I switched off my phone during lunch break. I left my bag in the car, and this whole thing, it's intense. I have a little child at home, and I don't even have the freedom to go home and breastfeed. It was
Right.
just like one of those things. I'm in a toxic relationship. I'm in a toxic relationship even at work. So it was toxic relationship. But it's normal. And I'm mentioning the normal a lot here because we normalize this thing, but it's sucking life out of us. And for me, I'm just grateful. But at that time, I wasn't. When I lost my identity, that is that corporate job. And then shortly after, and it's funny because this happened, I kind of like knew something was changing, but I didn't know what it was because that year I didn't feel the need to go clubbing. And I'm not saying clubbing is wrong, but I just felt like I have to retreat and come within. And I had this other dream where I had a dream of my younger brother having an accident. And I'm mentioning this accident because I want you to take note here. It was so real, so flippant real. And when I spoke to him and I said, "Oh my God, I dreamt that you were dead," and it was so real because I was crying and mentioning the dreams that you shared with me. And he responded saying, I'm still here. I'm gonna live for a long time. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon." Okay, cool. I love the response. And then 2 weeks later, the accident actually happened in real
Wow.
life. Yeah. And I
So it was a
remembered.
sort of a premonition.
Yeah, it was that. And I was tired of these premonitions because the question that I always had growing up was, I mean, what's the point of showing me all this shit if I can't
If I
do
can't
anything
change
about
it,
it? Yeah.
right?
So I just I hated that. And I hated my gift. It was weird in that sense. And even for other people, when you share something like, oh, I saw this or something, and it's something that is happening, it's kind of like, you are weird. So I didn't want to be weird. I pushed it aside.
Right.
But that accident, I remember when I saw my younger brother lying on that bed, and something within me it's kind of like I was like, I don't know, but things don't look good. And after the hospital visit, I went home and I closed the room and I cried. But my crying, my prayer was, God, let him leave, and I will do whatever that I came here to do, because I knew I have a calling, but I was not willing to say yes to it. And after that, my mom passed on, and then afterward came the judicial injustice that separated me with my children, where I found myself again as a woman. You are esteemed by your children, right? We don't know who we are. We just like we wear these roles. I'm a mother, and that's what we live by. And at that moment, coming from a very traditional family and a woman, as much as I was resisting all these cultural beliefs and everything, but they were ingrained in me. At that moment, there was shame that I was living in. I felt that I'm not a woman enough if my children can be taken away from me. And through this process, fighting back and forth, the question that came through actually, and this came through as a nudge, I felt that nudge to go write, and I started writing. And the words that came through was, who are you without a job, without your mother, without your father, without your religion, without your house? A lot of things that I also experienced. But when I was writing all these things in the beginning, for me, it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to share it with Jason, with Lisa, other people, they will enjoy it. I didn't think it was for me until it said, who are you without your children? And that moment I stopped and I said, so this message is for me? And I started crying. But the main question, which was shocking,
Powerful.
was but who am I? I don't know who I am. I didn't know. And I had to go through this path of finding who I am, which brought me to being and doing what I'm doing.
And that's really where the path starts. When you realize that you're not your everyday life, you are not what your staples in life are. You're not your job. You're not your church. You're not your children. You're not your family. You're not the upbringing that you were brought around. You're something entirely different. You're something that helped shape everything around you. You're not a product of those things. Those things are a product of you.
Absolutely.
So once you had that realization, and you realized you needed a little bit of self-realization, what was your next steps after?
It's kind of like, when you're rolling a carpet and it's just like a lot of things are just coming through at once. Here
Right.
I was, because when I was going through the separation with my children, it's because I was relocating to Germany and I married my now ex-husband. So we're in this relationship, and here I am, all this path is just opening. I was waking up even with people coming to me to say, we've been sent to you, we heard that you're going to heal us. So there's just a lot of things that are happening, and I'm here in a relationship where even my then husband felt like I'm just crazy, kind of like, this is just a fantasy, just forget about it. And I also had a lot of things that I need to work on. Here's the thing, this message is coming through, but I'm focusing still outside. I understand, who am I without my children? But on the other hand, I'm still fighting that journey, that judicial injustice, and I'm doing it from this I am strong mask, because we wear different masks for us to survive,
Right.
so I was coming from that I am strong, until one day I received a call from the father of my children, and he said, you may need to sit down for this one. And I sat down, and he told me that there has been an accident, and I don't know if Fiona is going to walk again. That is our daughter. By then, I think she was 9. I don't know if she's going to walk again. She was bitten by 2 Rottweilers, and they teared some muscles and whatnot. And at that moment, the words that I just said, so subtle, like kind of like it's somebody else saying them. But I was just saying, I'm tired of being strong. That was the moment I felt like I can't, I'm tired. And I allowed myself to feel, and I went back there with the hope that maybe something is gonna change. I even met another social worker from the medical department who took my file, like, oh, this is a simple case. Let me see how I can help. After 3 days, she gave me back the file and said, this is a simple case. If you are meant to have your children back, you would have. But my darling, this is a spiritual battle. And she gave me back the file. And after being with my daughter, I came back wondering if I should hire the seventh or eighth lawyer. I don't know how. I've lost count of the many lawyers that I've hired. And that's when the message came through. The odds are against you. You are not gonna win. So what am I supposed to do? You get to do the work. What kind of work? You need to forgive everyone involved in this case. And for me, the word forgiveness, my response basically was just like, fuck you. Because I was just
it's a hard pill to swallow.
at that moment, I was just like, I was just laughing. The laughter of a crazy woman. And
I'm sure at this point you're like, you want me to forgive half the fucking people that are responsible for this case.
Absolutely.
And you want me to forgive them for their wrongdoings towards me and my children in this case. And even I can't do nothing until I do that and move on.
Exactly. And even when I thought of my daughter, who even now there's like a big chunk of her thigh has been taken out by these dogs. And it's kind of like, and the question was, but what were you going to do? Let's just say this accident happened when the children were by you. What were you going to do? And I'm here crying and like feeling like, oh, this is crazy and I can't. And then what caught my attention was, do you want your children? How? And I am, yeah, I do. But then do the work. And I said, I don't know how. I don't know how to forgive. That was my honest truth at that moment. And I'm saying this because here in the self-development, we are quick to say, just forgive, or even I have forgiven, And for me, when I look at the process that I went through, because I was invited to say, you need to sit with us and do the work. We'll show you, And I said, how am I going to know I have forgiven? Their hearts will change and you'll have your children back. I didn't know. I was not attached to that. It's kind of like as I was receiving that, there was a download that was coming through. I don't know how or when that happened. The only thing that I remember, there was a time when the father of my children was going through a very tough time. And when I heard those news, somehow I was on my knee in the altar, and my prayer was, God, guide him to the light. Let him not make any crazy decision because my children need him. I went from a woman who was thirsty for blood to a woman who wanted this man to live, because I knew no matter what decisions he made, he's still the father of those children and they still want a relationship with him. I don't know when that happened, but it happened. And then after some months, I had my children back. So it's not a mental, it's the willingness to be. And I still remember, even after some time, the message that also came through, I was given an amount, which is crazy. I was given an amount and I was told, it came through in a dream, you need to invest, I think it was $7,600 on yourself. And I woke up like, I don't know what that means, but afterwards I just saw myself having different calls with different people, and then this woman, actually, I was like kind of like judgmental, like, this just like looks like a small girl. I don't know what I'm doing here with her. But we had a conversation, it was interesting. But when she gave me the money, I was like, oh shit. So here I am. So that person we ended up on the call, and I needed her to get me to the next level. So this is the most important thing, that at times there are some things that we may need to work on, especially that with me saying yes to myself. And I still remember when I shared this with my then husband, and I said, I have forgiven my ex. And my husband felt like, you are flipping crazy. What are you talking about? Do you know what he has done? So there was like that anger and feeling like you can't be forgiving this person and all that. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. There's nothing to hold him responsible for. I'm on this path. So he was refusing to accept my path. As we started in the beginning, that at times even our family, at times even your partner may not agree on the path that is calling you forth. And the truth is, there was no meeting or anything that was called to say this is the person who has to agree with you while you go on your path. So I had to trust my own gut instinct, my own calling, despite my ex-husband even being against that. Me being guided to say invest on yourself. I didn't know by then why that was necessary, but I went through this process of divorce while I'm being reunited with my children. I'm going through the divorce on the other side. So if I relied on myself only, I was not gonna go through that, because I talk about also generational imprints, parents, and all that. And I still remember when I realized that this marriage is over, because I got my divorce papers in the dream. I was given these divorce papers before they came in physical reality, right? So there were lots of voices feeling like this is wrong. You can't be divorcing. What do you want? And I also felt confused at some point, but it was not my own voices. It was also ancestral voices and everybody throwing in
Right.
their own idea and all that. But because I had someone who I was working with, that question that came through and that I want everybody to sit in and with is, who do you choose to be in every single choice and decision that you are making? Who are you being? Which often we choose to sustain a relationship by sacrificing who we are, by sacrificing our truth, by sacrificing our highest potential. Who do you choose to be? That, for me, that is a question that led me to hold into that string, because I realized that even at that moment when I was going through the divorce, my soul was dancing, but my human was afraid. And I embraced the two of these aspects and walked this path that was heavy, but there was beauty and wisdom even in that journey, which taught me that love is always present. The only thing that hurts us
Absolutely.
is us shutting our heart and feeling like the only time that I can get out of a toxic relationship or a relationship that does not support my next expansion is when I have stopped loving the person. But we never stop loving.
Right. Right. We can't help who we fall in love with, but we can adjust our feelings to what we need to at that strict point in time. But what I think the journey that you're talking about is it's just like a metamorphosis, like a butterfly.
Yeah.
Once you figured out you didn't know who you were, it was time to ball up into that cocoon and figure out who you wanted to become once that cocoon was open. And you couldn't open that cocoon, you couldn't get through your trials and tribulations until you forgave everybody that needed to be forgiven, even if they didn't deserve it. And that journey is amazing. And I'm glad that you came on and showed us your wings, because it's an amazing story. Now, what do you do now? Are you a life coach? Because I know you mentioned you said ancestral curses. It was like generational curses.
Yeah.
We've called it ACEs over here, adverse childhood experiences, and you hit it on the nose. So what are you doing now to help people overcome this?
I'm taking them on this journey that the higher self is calling them forward, which is basically breaking free from those generational patterns, imprints, curses, and hexes that they were born into. And I always say this because it starts with even your name. You are born into a family, you inherit, you are given a name. So often people are struggling because you are creating from the templates that you were born in. So we're starting from there, which is you claiming your freedom of individuality. That is disconnecting from what all those old templates and imprints and aligning with your unique soul signature blueprint, and also healing that inner child who's still holding in a lot of things, because no matter what you want, if your inner child does not feel safe, it's going to be hard for you to give birth to your desires because you are in fear. And I know how it is because that's where I was. I saw myself being in relationships where there is alcohol addiction and all that. And I was fighting with all these men. But at the end of the day, I found that it's not even about them. I had to go back to my roots where this addiction is and work on that. And another thing that I take you on a journey with is that sexual sovereignty. And as I said, our sexual energy is connected to our purpose, it's connected to our creativity, to pleasure, even to our wealth. So when you refuse this,
How so? Could you elaborate a little bit? Just a little bit.
Our sexual energy is, first thing, when you are attracted to somebody or to something, if you are fully present, there is a pull. And what is that? Is that being turned on? Is that energy, that horniness that calls you to say, this person here? And it's still the same thing when it comes to our purpose. And I look at it like what I say is, you can't give birth to what you can't conceive. The same process it takes for us to have a child is the same process that it takes for us to give birth to our desires. First thing, this is like natural energy. No one teaches us that, oh, feel this way. It just happens. Where it's kind of like there is this thing that I need to explore. There is a certain way that I'm feeling, and you are being pulled by this energy. And even if you are meeting a guy for the first time, you haven't had this, there is a part of you that is it's excited. You want to try it because you had some stories before, but another part of you is also a bit afraid of this, right? And it's still the desires. When our soul desire comes through, they are bigger than what we're conditioned to believe we can do, be, and have. So it's going to scare us a little bit. But when you are connected to this energy, there's still going to be that pull of wanting to be more, of wanting more out of life, of wanting to give birth to more. And then there is that connection when you allow it to come through, to express itself through you. There is that connection that still happens as a man and a woman still connect, and then there is that conception of that energy that is also you saying yes to your soul desires, saying yes to your extraordinary version, right? And then after you say yes to that, there's going to be that process of nurturing. That is our soul purpose. There's going to be some labor pains along the way, but on the other hand, when you are anchored in that flow and allowing it to flow through you, you know what you're going to give birth to, right? You are not derailed by the challenges that are coming through because you have an anchor. There is something that is pulling you forth. There is this energy. It's an energy of creation, and at the same time, it's an energy that can also attracts everything. And when we look at even in the world, the main problem that we have when it comes to sexual trafficking and even a lot of dark rituals and all that, there is a lot of usage of this energy. Even when we look at the religious system, the first thing that we are told, or we are when we start even religious or cultural, all this system, it's about the sexual energy, where it's kind of like either it's a sin or there is a lot of shame around it. There is a lot of abuse around this energy. And just by us disconnecting from it, it leads to a lot of things, which could be even depression. And the thing is, I'm not saying take any medication or whatever. No, I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, this like came through as a download where I was just like told like all this medication that we take for depression, this antidepressants and all that, and a lot of medication actually. What it does is it produces that feel good thing in the head, but it doesn't produce it in the gut. It kind of like disconnects us. We don't function fully. So with that said, the whole desire kind of like dies out. Your libido dies out. You don't have any desire to be more and create more out of life. And shame is also one of the things that also somehow kills it, and it has the same energy. It's also connected to money because it's like I said, it's more of creation. I've had people who they were doing well in business, and the moment they slept with people who had a certain frequency in their energy, their finances also started to go down because it shuts off that womb or that hara for men. It kind of like stops the flow. And when that happens, then your creation, you're giving birth to something, you being led by that inspiration kind of like stops. This is why often people who are disconnected from this energy, they operate from from disparity, and that creates more of disparity. And even when you are operating at a level of shame, because what I say is there's a lot of sexuality, but we are not connected to it on an individual level. We are not channeling this energy and using it to create. It's more something that we are ashamed of. We don't sit down and connect with it individually and also even with the other, for us to be sure what is it that I'm transmitting to my partner, and what is the partner transmitting to me. What is the intention? Which I feel like when you are using this consciously and intentionally, it's gonna bring a lot for you. And this also came for me. It was also one of those downloads through the meditation where I started receiving and actually experiencing that orgasmic bliss without no one touching me or anything, just me being open and allowing it to flow through me. And I was like, what the heck is this? But then I was guided to the work that I do, which is basically activating that. I've had people who came through and they had a problem with whether it's some sexual dysfunction and all that, but that's like kind of like it's the first thing that calls me in the body, and I work on that, and then people start to function at a higher level. And like many say, even men, they will say that, oh my god, I feel like I'm still that younger man and all that, and women as well, because as women we've been conditioned to believe, like it's kind of like we believe men, like I say, our womb is shut, so we operate from here, from the heart, and men operate from the pelvic area. But the magic is connecting the heart and the womb and anchoring that for you to give birth to that. So men function from the pelvic area, women function from the heart area. And now with all the heart aches and everything, people shut off. And one thing that I also say is that a closed hand does not receive, so is the closed heart. And the magic happens when we are embodied, attuned, and fully present, because it's also one of the energy that also calls us to be present. When you are feeling the energy of that holiness coming through, you are not out there, you are feeling what is here. And the question is, what do you do with it? So it's one of the things that also activate that presence and groundedness, if you know how to direct that energy to create more of what you want.
My producer signaling to me we're going a little over. It's a
Oh,
wonderful. I need to know more about this topic, so I hope that you'll grace us with your presence again and let us know a little bit more on this. But for those people who are looking to get your guidance right now, can you just let them know where they can find you?
yeah, there is a link here. I don't know if I can put it. Can you put this link of orgasmic clarity on the screen? Oh, okay. It's quite, yeah, that is okay. They can go there in my website and click on that or click on that. And that video is actually talking about someone who just made 10K in 7 days by taking them through the process that I'm talking about, which is activating that safety in the body and also healing some sexual abuse and fully connecting to that receiving. Because most of you are having a problem because you are not open to receive. And it's quite interesting because that energy is just like coming through. So there's a link on my website, and there's a link that we're going to share here as well. So I'm giving you a 45-minute intro call to my magic. As I say, I'm a human MRI psychic surgeon, and I allow your body to talk to me. If you don't know what is going on, your body's going to tell me what is going on. So jump on the call and let's have a conversation.
Wow. Now, are you open to doing some of those live on camera?
Yeah.
Let's get it set up. I have another podcast that runs late night on Fridays, so we'll have to see if our time zones match up. But I am going to email you my phone number, and we'll keep in contact, and we'll see when we can match it up. I have a bunch of guys on that show, but I'll make sure I get the advertisement out in time to where we may be able to also get some female persuasion in there, so we can get a lot of different outcomes. If
I love that, because what happened actually just right now, it's quite interesting because there is an energy that kind of like just showed up. It's kind of like a pin, but it's coming from I would say more of the left side, in between the thigh, going to the pelvic. It's kind of like crossing just by the pelvic. So for me, it shows me what is going on in there. Like there is that area that needs some that needs some work. And it's kind of like I don't know what happened there, but that energy just showed up. And as I always say as well, we can have conversation about money. The body's gonna light up showing where the problem is. Relationship, the body lights up to show where the problem is. So I'm excited. I'd love to have that being
Perfect.
alive.
We're definitely going to get set up. You heard it first here. I was going to come back on and we're going to see exactly where everybody's sexual energy is on the break room. Those guys are not going to like that I'm doing this, but you heard it first here. Like I said, if any of you guys want to come on, any of you females would like to join, please hit me up on talkingjunknetwork@gmail.com or get us on all our socials at the Talking Junk Network, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Now, we are going to be joined in a second by Phil Barth, but first, a word from our sponsors.
That slap, that it is that one. Let's go. Everybody talking about Dizzle new song. They like that's that turn, that lit, that slap, that it's that one. That go. Everybody talking about Dizzle new song.
I got GS jumping on a Tuesday. Dizzle drunk gang deeper than the Wu-Tang. If you love it, then you better cuff your back.
Dizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Ready to Dizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, dripping my lip, I'm ready to see, I'm ready to Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, I need more than a drip, I'm ready to sit, I'm ready to sit, I need more than a drip, Dizzle, 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 Dizzle.
Go to dizzlebrand.com right now and get you a bottle. This is magic. It's manufactured magic. And you can ask Lil Rock Obama, go on Instagram and ask him right now, Gal, this right here will help some of your people get that sexual energy that they're desiring. This bottle right here.
Yeah. Magic.
Magic.
Awesome. I love magic.
Now, our next guest is going to tell us how he found humor in heart attacks, teenagers, and just life in general, and how that humor kept him alive through his own heart attack. Mr. Phil Barth. How you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm doing great, Jason. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to have two great guests on tonight.
Yeah.
So what were you doing before? Oh, yes, it is probably past 2 a.m. there. So how I know you have to get out of here. Thank you very much from Germany coming on. I appreciate you, and I will be in your email giving you that information. We have to get it set up.
Awesome. Enjoy, Phil. And
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So I know quiet minds want to know, what exactly were you doing to get you said heart attack?
So, stressing. Short answer. Here's the longer story. I was in my early 50s, and I was getting ready to compete in the World Championship of Public Speaking for Toastmasters. I was in the semifinals, and so all summer I was doing my regular job, and I was also working on this speech and going to clubs. And Toastmasters is a speaking organization. I should have clarified that. Well, at one point early in the summer, I ran into a friend of mine about my age. I said, "How you been, Tom?" He said, "I had a heart attack." I'm like, people our age, and and Tom doesn't smoke and I don't smoke. And neither of us were really badly overweight. So I'm like, how did this happen? He goes, well, and he described all the symptoms that led up to it. So fast forward toward the end of the summer, and I'm at scout camp with my son, and all of a sudden I'm having trouble getting up the hills. I'm falling asleep in the middle of the day, all these things. And every time I thought of something, I was like, Tom told me about that. Tom told me about that. But I didn't want to listen. We're guys, right? I'll go to the doctor.
Are you telling me I'm going to have a heart attack right now, Phil? Because that's what I feel like. I feel like you're telling me I'm going to have a heart attack because you're describing me to a T right now.
I'm guessing if you're enjoying a little of the, it sounds like, was it Dizzle? You're probably controlling your stress a little bit there. So
that is not Dizzle in my cup right now. This is just regular iced tea. It is a Tuesday, and I am not an animal.
I used to be, but not anymore. Anyway, on Thursday, we played this game called Hungry Human Hippos. Hungry Hippos, where the hippos get the marbles. Well, we were the hippos. So I had this garbage can caster wheels, and they were slinging me around the cafeteria, and I was pulling in softballs, like being one of the hippos. And afterwards, I felt terrible. So I went to the nurse, and she took my blood pressure, and it had tanked. And long story short, my wife called, and the nurse said, give me the phone. She said, if it's my husband, I send him to I call 911. So went to the hospital. They ran a bunch of tests and said, you have had a small heart attack. And so I don't have family history, right? And so I went through this period of time, like, why me? But a couple days afterwards, my cardiologist said, look, you need to manage your stress. And when I started to think about it, I was a high stress type A, always on, always complaining, always negative, all those things that generate the bad brain hormones. That was me. And eventually it led to a heart attack.
I'm going to have a heart attack, ain't I?
No.
God damn it. I'm going to have one. I know it.
Well, then I can give you some ideas that I came up with after the fact. So you can
perfect. Help me not get this heart attack, Phil, because it's coming. I have 3 little girls. They help me pull my hair out in different spots, as you can see. I'm trying to keep it cut so that way it's not all out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a heart attack, Phil. Tell me these steps that you came up with to help you ease that pain.
Sorry, I got a little cough tonight. Allergy season. The doctor in front of my wife said, I want you to promise me you're going to take 1 week off every 3 months. And I said I would. And since I said it in front of my wife, I had to, right? I couldn't ignore it. So after I got back to work, 3 months later, we took a staycation. I still wasn't fully recovered, but I was able to take the week off, and we went to the zoo one day. And at the end of the day, I got on Facebook and I said, here are the great things that happened to me today. And everybody gave me a bunch of likes. I'm talking about seeing baby animals, the gorilla enclosure, picnic with my wife and son, etc. And so the next day I was like, well, I got to tell what great happened in my life today. And we went to the art museum. I did the same thing. And so every day I did it that week. And I started to wonder, how long could I go finding the good things that are happening in life? And the answer is, it's been close to 9 years now that I've been doing it.
Wow.
And so what happened was I trained my brain to stop looking at what was bad and all the negative things and search out what is good. Now, there's still bad going on in the world. I readily acknowledge that. But I've kind of trained my brain to find out what's positive. And humor is a big part of that. Anytime I see anything funny, I take a picture of it, put it out on social media. Training yourself to find what's positive, laugh more. Those were the starts. And then I've learned a few other things along the way.
So once you decided to stay away from the news and TV in general, how else did you find would ease you through the process? Because I know you want to keep the stress levels down. So worldly news is probably not the best thing to consume.
Correct.
Other than that, what did you cut out?
redid my approach to social media. Because everybody likes to argue and fight on social media. And what I found was, even if I wasn't engaging in the argument, Facebook watches what you're reading,
Your
and
algorithm.
they keep giving you more of it. So I started blocking people. In some cases, I unfriended them. It doesn't matter if I have the same political beliefs or different. When they are constantly negative and awful about politics, about religion, about life, I block them. It's just, and I believe, and I'm very, middle of the road on most everything. But I believe if you watch either of the extremes on TV, even if you agree, you're going to stress yourself out and cause yourself the bad brain hormones, which lead to so many health impacts. So social media is a big one. Some people say I just got off, just get off social media. But our niece lives in Florida, and she's got a little boy, a little girl, and she always posts pictures of them. So I don't want to miss that.
It's almost hard nowadays to get off of social media just from the fear that you might miss something.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind missing a lot of it, but when it's my little niece and nephew down in Florida and seeing pictures of what they're up to,
but even still, you have FOMO from your family, and that's a very real thing. You have fear of missing out.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I'll be all right with that one. There's other FOMOs that I gotta be able to let go of and have. So that was.
There's a lot of FOMOs I need to let go of too. You guys know who you are.
Love it. So turning down the volume of negativity, and there's a study by it goes back to the 50s. Scientific American magazine did this study, and it was the brain's reticular activation system. And basically what they proved was whatever you program your mind to look for, you're going to find it. So if you close your eyes and think of the color green, and then you open them, the first thing you're going to see is something green in the room. Green. Yeah. So I've done that experiment, and whatever color I want to think of, and it also explains, like, if you've got a new car and somebody else has the same car, you instantly notice it.
Right. Or if you're looking at cars, you notice the cars that you were just looking at. And it's like, how many fucking people were driving this before I searched it?
Exactly.
How powerful is my goddamn phone that all these people have this fucking car now?
Okay, well, that's another thing about social media. I've had a cough from allergies, and today Facebook popped up this chronic cough study ad. I'm like, I never said anything about it. You just heard my damn cough, and there it is. Anyway, but
yeah, we're talking about heart attacks. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a cardiovascular team on my phone in no time.
Probably. Yeah, it doesn't work the other way. It doesn't work like, I would love to get the next winning lottery numbers. That doesn't pop those up for me. I don't know what the hell.
Right. $1 million. I need it.
Yeah. No, it don't work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So those were a couple. In that, from there's other ideas like do something nice for someone else. Yeah, you can't see it from here, but in the lower corner there in my whiteboard, I have all these things I write on my whiteboard, but in the lower corner is a little note from my wife. It's been there for years. Just, she came in here and wrote "love you" on it with a heart. I don't know if you.
We could kind of see the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just something little like that. Just make somebody else's day. And it makes you feel good too.
Now, have you produced a book on all of these findings?
I did, as a matter of fact. Yes. It's not sitting here on my desk like it normally does. It's called Great Things Happen Every Day.
It's all right. Us little people don't know how product placement works. Trust me. I've been trying it for years.
Shit. Well, yeah, so I wrote a book. Long story short, it's called
Nice Rubber Chicken, though.
Huh?
Nice Rubber Chicken, though.
Yeah, that one's a crocheted rubber chicken. I use rubber chickens in my speeches. And one of the people who saw my speech, friend of mine, she crocheted me a rubber chicken.
It's nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Ask her how much she charged for another.
Yeah, I'll ask her. See, not only that.
No way.
she put a squeak toy in it. Yeah. So, and that's part of the stress message is when you're playing with rubber chickens, you really don't stress out too much. You're squeezing them. And I've got little ones. My business card is actually a QR code on a rubber chicken that takes you to my website. And then I got a great big one that says, you need to be afraid of regrets in life, basically. I call it the Red Rooster of Regret. Anyway, the book, I'm sorry that I don't have it here, but it's Great Things Happen Every Day, Finding Joy with Friends, Family, and Banana Milkshakes. And what
Banana milkshakes.
Yes.
Thanks, Phil. Now I think I'm going to get a heart attack, but I need a banana milkshake.
You totally do. And here's the thing, Jason. You do it with like frozen yogurt, so it's not as bad for you. And frozen bananas, so it's.
All dairy's bad for me, to be honest.
What's that?
All dairy's bad for me.
Oh, I've never made it with almond milk, so I don't know. Well, and
I can't have any kind of milk, no almond milk, none of that stuff. And it's not because it'll come out the same way it went in. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Got it.
It's a lot of acid reflux is what it gives.
Oh yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Anyway, there are other great things in the book. What happened was, after about 3 years of listing all the great things that were happening in life, I put them into a book. So on this particular day, here's what it was, and then explanations underneath it. And I grouped them by topic. So great things on vacation, great things around the holidays, great things with a whole section of dad jokes, because dad jokes are hilarious. You're a dad.
Yes, they are.
Good way to torture your kids.
Yes, it is. And thank you, Seth MacFarlane, for showing us another way to torture our kids with the Shut Up Meg. Thank you very much. That'll definitely reduce your stress.
Sorry.
So let me find this book just so I can feel like a professional tonight.
Well, I feel bad that I.
No, don't. I had no idea that you had a book. What kind of professional am I?
It's on Amazon. See, while you're looking, there's what the business cards look like.
Amazing.
And I give them out when I do keynotes. Toss them out to people. They love them.
Oh, that is the best marketing that I've seen doing this show so far. No, that is, who is that striking young gentleman right there?
Oh, in the book, that's my son. Oh no, that's me. Okay, if you go to philbarth.com, I think there's a link to the book there.
philbarth.com. So you do what I do, huh? You used your son's likeness?
Yeah. So, and you've got 3 daughters. I've got 3 sons. And
I had a son. He passed on, going on 11 years next month. But I use his likeness for all of my promotional art. I think I maybe have one here from a previous show. I don't have anything. Nope, I don't have one from a previous show. I have the one that I just put up for our show, and I'll show you right now on our Instagram, just so you can kind of get a sense of how I use them. And I'm pulling up your book now so I can see how you use your son.
All right, let's see him. Wow, that's a nice suit I got on there.
Very nice. But all my graphics include my son.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
Not the video so much, but
right.
He is everywhere. All graphics. He is my Mad TV guy.
Well, it's a good way to honor his memory.
I thought so.
Yeah. By the way.
There it is.
So I did find one over on a shelf. Oh, there. Okay, there I am with the rooster. And then.
That is a huge rubber chicken.
That is, yeah, there it is. Yeah, so that is a picture of our youngest son on the beach. And taken by my wife. I was looking for something on the cover, and I kind of described what I wanted because I took a picture just like that. Sure enough.
Now, this book outlines sort of the outline you live your life by now.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I keep evolving it, right? I keep learning new things. You got to keep learning. You got to keep growing. But
Right.
yeah, that's the outline. It's, turn down the noise, the negative noise, turn up what's great in life. Get outside is always a good one. I think that's in there somewhere.
So tell us a little bit more about your speeches. Have you done a TED Talk yet?
I have not. I want that's on my bucket list. I am doing keynotes on the subject of stress management and or goal achievement. So goal achievement, I talk about ignoring those chickens inside of you that are saying you're not good enough, you can't do it, etc. And stress management, same way, right? That's what stresses you, is all those things inside your head saying, don't do it, you're not good enough, and so on. It's one of the things. Excuse me. So I have been doing, like I said, keynotes on that. Just got back from doing one in Brussels. So I retired from my IT job March 31st because I said it's time. It's time to do this full time. It's time to help people out. Not that IT doesn't help the world, but it's time to help people lower their stress and achieve their goals.
Right, because IT does not help lower stress. It does not. It heightens everybody's stress levels. Everybody. You're yelling at me because I'm stupid and I can't control my computer, and I'm yelling at you because I'm stupid and I can't control my computer. So,
yep,
I get it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So it was time, and now I get to go to cool places and talk and meet wonderful people. And get to hang out with them and deliver keynotes. And
well, we're definitely going to have to talk off screen so I can know your model, because I'm trying to do the same thing. I need to get out abroad and speak about different things humorously, because that's just I'll talk about these adverse childhood experiences. We can talk about how your father was a drunk and touched your sister, but I'm definitely going to do it in a funny way. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, that's the key. You go around the world telling people how choking your chicken relieves your stress, and we take those keynotes and we run with them.
Kind of been a theme on the show tonight.
Yeah, choking the chicken was kind of the theme of the show tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the hidden theme, actually, because I had no idea that Kyle was going to come on and speak about sexual energy. She said she was coming on to speak about transforming emotional scars.
It all comes back to sex.
It always comes back to sex.
That's funny.
Always. So, guys, summer's coming. Those hot holidays are here. All those barbecues, those drinks, they're going to be thrown up. So what you need to do to avoid from throwing up is order you a bottle of Dizzle. And I promise you, the only thing you'll be throwing up is pubic hair.
I did not see that one coming.
See, the good ones you rarely see coming.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Yep.
Now, Phil, why don't you before I let you give your speech on where we can find you and how you can help us, have you thought about becoming a life coach?
I have not. No, that's not the right answer. I have, and I don't think I don't think it's for me. I mean, could I do it? Yeah, but I kind of like the lane I'm in, where I get to meet a group of people, and we'll talk through those kind of things, but I get to tell my stories and then hang out with them and travel. And where I'm at in this stage of life, I think a life coach would be a pretty big jump, and the keynote speaking seems to be working well. Never say never, right? But
right. No, I get it. You're trying to relieve stress, not garner more.
Exactly.
I get it. So before we say Heidi ho to this episode, why don't you tell the viewers how they can relieve their stress?
So philbarth.com is is where you can find me. And that talks about my keynote programs. So check it out. It also has links to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And those are, and if you aren't sure about, gosh, what does he really, what's he like when he speaks? The link to YouTube will get you there. It's got not my last keynote, but one of the earlier ones this year from Orlando. And so you'll get to see how much fun I have throwing chickens to the audience. And Jason, I'm telling you right now, every time I get up on that stage, I focus, and it'll be doubly hard now to not say choking.
Well, I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
Exactly. Dude, sorry, not sorry would be a perfectly acceptable response here.
No, Phil, I have to get you on one night to just give us your spiel on your keynotes. Maybe even get the full hour to yourself, because both guests tonight deserve a full hour of their own. But Gal got herself a 2-hour block on our other podcast. So if you
nice.
we can get you wherever you need to be. You want to do the 2-hour block is very long on a late night Friday. And if you want to,
that's gonna be worse.
She called in at 1:30 in the morning for this interview. She is very dedicated to her craft, and I can see how she has so much energy to do everything that she does. She is a godsend, and I can't wait to have her back on.
Oh yeah.
Same with you. We gotta.
We probably can cover it in an hour. I can tell you how I overcame the odds and was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Okay. Now that's a story.
That's what we talk about, leaving the breadcrumb for the next one, right? That's a little.
Definitely, those breadcrumbs will be followed. Phil, thank you very much for coming on. I'll be back with you in just a second. I'm just going to cut this off. People out there, thank you for joining me again. 2 wonderful guests tonight, and we're going to start this thing on every episode, including the break room, where we're going to read some of your comments of the night on here, and the most outrageous ones will be highlighted. There are 2 outrageous ones, and we'll save them for last. Here is Magnetic Confidence Club giving you a bit.ly orgasmic clarity. That looks like that's Gao right there. So that has to be her producer, her mediator, giving you those links. Here is another, The Naked Extraordinary Embodiment Blueprint podcast, which I also believe Gao has a hand in. So make sure you click that. And here is Gao again with her. Listen, my producer, you got to step it up, all right? I'm doing all of this by myself. Come on. I need a little bit of help here. You see what they're doing here for y'all? Nobody's doing it for me. Come on. And this man right here, this gentleman, Virgil Kane, is the winner of the most outrageous comments of the night. Here are his 2 comments. I had an alarming experience here in Manchester, England. My wife fell into a canal. She was attacked by a giant crocodile who bit off her arms and legs. I divorced her shortly afterwards, but boy, I still love her. Do you think we'll get back together? I mean, the chances of you guys getting back together are about as slim as it is for her to give you a standing ovation. Here it is right here. Dreams can cause stress. I had a dream last night that I was crucified on the lawn of the White House by Joe Biden. I said, my Father, why hast thou forsaken me? He said, you got yourself into this situation. Get yourself out. Any thoughts, guys? Yeah, I mean, now you feel like how we feel in America, where we feel every day like we're being crucified on our own lawns by Joe Biden. So you're welcome. And that is a wrap for another great episode. You guys, I love you. Thank you for coming on and giving me a little bit of the comedic energy that I needed. Gal had me speechless. Phil had me thinking about choking some chickens. So tonight, what I want you to do is get those buttons, take those fingers or those arrows, whatever you got that's clicking over that porn you're watching, and go to our YouTube page, click like, share, and subscribe. Go to all our social media pages. They're all the same, Talking Junk Network, and give us a follow, because none of this, all of these great guests, all of this Dizzle back here, whatever banter comes out of these great lips cannot be possible without you. So be sure to do all of that. We love you if you do. Fuck you if you don't. But think about it. If you hate us, the best way to get back at us is to tell people you hate about us. So do that right now. Use those fucking smackers for something that counts. Tell them about the Talking Junk Network, because we are the best out there, baby. And, you know, stay tuned, because we're going to have another great guest for you next week. Maybe even 2. We love you. Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in to